Okay, here we are back to Hoplite, and this time another surprisingly empty board. This is the Battle of Leuctra, the last of our clear terrain battles we're going to be taking a look at. And what we have here is a Spartan force of them and their allies, primarily their allies. Oh, we got the Royal Guards here. And at this, I don't know if the Spartan Royal Guards, I think they're supposed to have a little red triangle and they don't. I seem to remember there was an errata somewhere about that. Facing, well, a Boeotian alliance headed up by Thebans. And the Thebans are tired of their only having, you know, the double depth unit, so they've gone with this humongous thing here. So I kind of get terminology confused sometimes, but basically wheeling is a specific form of something called the front to flank maneuver, where you're allowed to kind of pivot your unit. Well, this is allowed to do the pivoting, but it can't do the wheeling, which is specific towards smacking into combat that way. So it's got to kind of position itself ahead of time. Its advantages are it doesn't drift to the right. It's not allowed to reverse face. It can't use, these aren't all advantages, obviously. It can't use column, square, or locked shield wall. It takes double hits from terrain cohesion hits. Not that that'll be an issue here. It can never move through friendly units, nor can they move through it. But the biggie is it counts as 4 units instead of the normal 2. Well, it counts as 4 regardless of what it's facing, which means if it's facing a single Hoplite phalanx, it gets 3 double shifts, so it gets 6 column shifts in its favor. So it is quite a potent hit. Otherwise, though, we've got a much weaker line of hoplites stretching across here. Now, in addition to this, hidden in it is the scared band. Sacred band. But they are hiding, which is also quite good. Look at the qualities on these. 9. That thing doesn't fail quality checks. 8 on the sacred band. This stuff is better than most of the best Spartan stuff, except for the Royal Guard, which is also quite good. So we're going to have problems with units not wanting to disappear. However, if I recall correctly, the only thing that actually has the holding capability is the Hoplite phalanxes. I may have played that wrong in the scenario where I broke those, where I used the broken down Hoplites. And so that's going to be a weakness. These aren't going to have the staying power that the big Hoplite phalanxes do. This will, though. It better. We also have some other tactical innovations, like putting some cav out in front of the forces, and then the skirmishers off to the side where they're not going to cause problems. All of this is going to make this battle kind of interesting. Okay, so how does the sacred band work hidden in there? Anytime the momentum chit is drawn and they haven't been released, I can release them from there. They get to move outside of it. And then from then on, they'll move with the rest of the phalanx force. So they can kind of jump out and do some surprise actions, which could be very, very powerful, actually. We got peltists over here and skirmishers. Over here, we just have skirmishers. Numerically, I think the Spartans have the larger force, but in terms of route points, the two forces are considered equal. This thing counts, I think, quadruple in terms of route points, or is it just triple? If that breaks. That only counts as triple, so it's only 27 of the 40 points. Alright, I'll probably get this started tomorrow. I don't feel like playing tonight. Okay, so we open up. The Spartans end up getting initiative. It's die roll in this scenario. A lot of the scenarios recently we've just been making a roll as to who has what. And they open up. Initiative seems to be a disadvantage in my view, actually, given the distance that the scenarios start out. They open up pushing forward their skirmishers and peltists as well. And the Thebans do some harassing fire with these. You can see they kind of got the best of it. They got 2 low missile results on the... yeah, I can't hold it steady. On the Spartans, and that means those were misses, and they managed to hit 3 of the Spartan units. I think they hit with all of their missiles that fired, but well, we'll see where we go from there. The activations are proceeding in an almost elegant fashion. Then the Spartan cav comes in, the Theban cav comes. Well, the Spartan cav positioned itself to threaten the Theban cav. The Theban cav slammed into them. You can see they routed a couple of the Spartans. There's only 1 left. They outnumber and outclass them in lights. The Hoplite situation, I got the draw for that, and I don't have to move, but I chose to. I chose to move my Spartan stuff only 3 hexes forward, and I'm not going to get that with the others, which is a shame because his Hoplites will hit me if I'm at 4 or more. Most of the damn things went running. You know, the only thing I can judge with the Hoplites is if you were to play these really competitively, you would never like move your Hoplites forward in the normal battles. You just want to stand there and wait. Maybe lock shields. Because being the first guy to move is a mistake. You almost, in these scenarios, you almost always end up in the wrong range, and you don't have much control over them. Which means, of course, you know, neither player is going to move when their counter gets drawn. If they were playing it, you know, to try to win the battle, the game, whatever you want to say, whatever there is here, the guy who moves first is the guy who's going to be behind the 8 ball, and that feels like really the opposite of what it should be in terms of the way the initiative mechanism works and everything. You know, I fudge it as I've mentioned, but this really kind of is grating on me after several of these. It's not like there's a lot of tactics involved in these Hoplite battles. It's mainly just exercises in die rolling. I gotta say, and I've said I think before, this is far and away the least interesting of the GBOH games that I've seen. Now, that's not a knock, other than the fact that the players have an incentive not to attack, which I think is a flaw in this in the design. But that's not. I think a lot of the historical work that went into this and the effort that went into trying to modeling hoplite warfare, as long as you don't pay attention to, you know, trying to win the scenario, you know, as a all-out goal, is impressive. It's just, in the end, hoplite warfare is kind of boring. And the big clash is generated using the momentum chit from the Thebans. The Spartans tried to trump that in order to get the first strike in at cost, but still. And what we see is we're going to be double teaming these guys. We might triple team this one, but the problem here is this guy counts as 4 units. These guys only count as 2, which means I'm 2 units better, so I'll be able to smash both of these pretty heavily overall. I'm very worried about how fragile these things are, though, because they aren't hoplite phalanxes. I'm thinking about checking the errata to make sure that regular hoplites shouldn't have the same kind of sturdiness that the hoplite phalanx units do. It feels a little funny, although I can understand where you'd get a lot more stability out of this huge formation than you do out of a weaker line. Right, so I checked the errata and I saw no sign of it. And that means we're going to see these these lighter, smaller Hoplite units pretty much dissolve in a way that we're not used to seeing the Hoplites do so. I think the other battle that I played where those were heavily present, and it was actually an option whether or not you want them present. That would be the big one. What is the big one? Oh, my clay. Plataya. I think the smaller sized hoplites in there, I gave them way too much. I gave them that advantage, I believe. And if so, they had way too much staying power. This is a huge advantage for the Spartans. The other side, though, is that this monster can be pretty devastating. But what we've seen with the Hoplites is that they clash and they sit there fighting it out at, nearly broken for a long time in a lot of these battles. Assumes that the Hoplite phalanxes survived the first contact. These guys broke before they got hit by that beast, and now we've just got the fight going across here. They still haven't rolled out the combat checks, but man, that was kind of unexpected. Now, the Spartans are going to have an opportunity to outflank this thing. This thing is not easy to turn. Man, you can see they broke the line anyway. The one unit that held, well, no, 2 units held. One of them is engaged. One of them, though, had, and most of them do, a low enough tactical quality that it failed its check at sticking around. These aren't, that's the thing. Big Hoplite units with a moderate or low for the Hoplite tactical quality aren't really that great. It's when you get these 7s, and now we've got like a 9 here. These aren't going to have, nor is the Sacred Band, that kind of staying power. But the big guys are going to have tremendous staying power. Because this guy can't fail a check unless he goes over that 9. And so if he takes, 9 cohesion hits, he will succeed at any check and go back down to 8. If he takes 11, well, then he has to roll an 8 or higher to fail a check. So that thing is pretty much undestroyable. The Thebans have some advantage. They have extra chips in here. They have a momentum chip still sitting here. They have this. Now these guys in here, I'm just putting them in here. They're actually off board, but they're part of this. So I'm putting them in there to help remind me. I don't know what's going to help me more, having them off board or not. But they're not taking any casualty checks or anything like that. But if this dissolves, they're gone. If that happens somehow. Anyway, this got another move, so it turned and it's attacking. This guy ended up making his tactical quality, and this guy had to make a tactical quality check because he's attacking too. So we're going to try to bust through there, and then we still have a momentum left where we can pop this out. We could have done that earlier because the Spartans got a failed trump. And it's really looking bad. It's looking like the whole Spartan line's just collapsing on first contact. If I misspoke, I may have said that this was going to be a flank attack. It's not, because he's also in the front hex of the Hoplite phalanx. It's very hard to get the flanking with these things. So anyway, this is the result of that. We have our other momentum check. And can we do something with this, and what would we want to trigger? We have a range of 1, 2, 3, 4. We could do a recovery on that. I don't really want to use my Hoplites again because they're tired. Although I could pop this guy out and launch a quick attack with him. But that would just be with him, I think. If I understand how these special rules for that unit work. Yeah, because he only becomes a Hoplite later. I think he's too vulnerable to pop out right now, so I'm not going to do that. Do I want to take a Hoplite action to recover my Hoplites? That might not be a bad move. 1, 2, 3, 4. These are all in command. Yeah, I think that's not a bad idea, is to recover the hoplites, because I still got one more bigger unit in one of these phalanxes to wipe out. Although I think the battle's over. The Spartans lost already. That's 30 points. Yeah, let's do it. Pulled out all the stops. I popped them out because I'm doing a hoplite attack, so they might as well do it. Combined on this, we're already on the 13 table, so the extra unit didn't actually help any. Routed that. It failed its follow-up tactical quality without having to touch any of the good Spartan units. We've got 40 points right there. That would end it, but we have another 10 sitting here. This is game over. There's no more chits left. The Spartans had no chance to do a momentum, a trumping type action, because they already wasted their one shot on it. Unlike the normal SPQR, well, SPQR in most of the early GBOH games allowed multiple trump attempts for particularly good leaders. You would have like a collection of them. This doesn't allow that. You get one for the battle. So you have less ability to change the flow when it goes against you. And boom, this just collapsed, you know. If they hadn't moved first, it may not have happened. If they had locked shield walls or something, maybe they could have held their position a little better. Hard to tell, though. They had to make those tactical quality checks, and that's what broke most of them. Well, in addition to the fact that they ran and took a hit beforehand, that's what happened. They got horrible rolls on their TQ checks, though. Anyway, this is the end of Leuctra, and that was quick. It says it should take a couple hours. It took me about 15 minutes probably, because I probably do about as much video as I do actual playing.